So hey guys, it's been so long since I did like a story time in the car, and so since I'm in the car, I thought I'd film a story time for you guys. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna call this like a toxic friend or something like that. But this friendship was very toxic, and you'll see why in just a minute. And I'm sorry that I only uploaded like a short today, which is Wednesday. You'll probably see this Thursday or Friday. I just was really busy, and I was really tired, and I'm actually helping my mom today at her job. She doesn't need me right now, but anyway, let's just get into the car story time, the story time. So this is about a friend that I used to hang out with all the time. We were so close. We were inseparable. We were like best friends, or at least I thought we were best friends. And you're gonna see why we may not have been best friends in her eyes. This friendship was very one-sided now that I look back on it, because I was trying everything in my power to keep this friend, and she didn't seem to really care about my feelings all that much. And a lot of this has to do with like her birthday parties. Okay, so she would tell me about them, but I was never invited, hardly ever. And then I was always inviting her to my birthday parties. Like, it is what it is. Like, I remember like these more than anything. Like, she would always hurt my feelings when it came to like her parties and stuff. And that's all I can really remember. Like, I'm sure she's hurt my feelings more than just those occasions, but she was always hurting my feelings on purpose. So yeah, so I don't know. I guess she just really didn't like me as a friend. That's why she was always hurting me. Like, she hurt me time and time again. Sorry if you hear noises. There's like traffic outside this parking garage. But yeah, she was not a nice person sometimes. She could be really sweet, but a lot of times she wasn't very nice at all. And yeah, so the first time I can really remember her like really genuinely hurting my feelings was when she was telling me about this party she was gonna have, alright? And her friends, she was inviting some of her other friends over, and they were gonna sleep in her mom's bed that night and watch like movies and eat junk food and stuff. And then she drops the bombshell that I'm not invited, and obviously I probably cried because I was really young at the time. I don't think I was even in school yet. And like I said, this girl was supposed to be my best friend. Like, we were so inseparable. We hung out all the time. And so I remember being crushed because I'm like, I thought I was your friend, and you're not inviting me to this party, but you're telling me about it, you know? And it's not like I felt entitled to go, or entitled to be invited to her birthday party, but I was like, I thought I was your best friend, but you're treating me like I don't have any feelings or whatever. And so that really hurt my feelings, and I'm pretty sure I cried because I was really young at the time. I don't even think I was in school yet. I was like 3 or 4. And she said that to me, and it really hurt me a lot. And so I think I went back to my grandma's house and I cried for a while, because I'm like, why would you tell me about this and then not invite me? You know what I mean? So that really hurt my feelings. And so like this other time, fast forward, I think I was in school at this point. I was like 4 or 5 years old again. Probably 5, but I think I started school when I was like 4. And I forgot to mention the backstory that at this point in time, she's my grandma's neighbor. Like, that's how we met, because she lived next door to my grandma. It's her party again, and this time she's doing it at her dad's house. I didn't know about it. Again, I wasn't invited. And the thing is, I would invite her to all my parties, but she couldn't be bothered to invite me to hers. And so she, I think she had to come get something from her mom's house or whatever. And she asked her dad, she's like, oh, can she come too? And her dad was like, no, you got plenty of friends there already. And so I was crushed. And not only was I not invited, but her dad was like, he said that in front of me, which was really hurtful. And I don't blame him, but like, why would you say that in front of a child? Like, that really like hurt me a lot. It really crushed me. And again, this girl was supposed to be my best friend at the time. And her dad hurt my feelings as well. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but it still was a big deal to me. And I watched them drive away, and I'm probably sobbing again. Because I'm just like, I thought we were friends. You should have invited me in the first place if you really wanted me there. But I felt like she was embarrassed of me and didn't actually want me there. Or maybe she just forgot. I don't know. But I was always like, the only reason she would hang out with me is because her other friends were busy. That's how I felt. I felt like I put our friendship first, and she never considered my feelings or even like put my friendship first. You know, like she never did. It was always about her and what she wanted. And honestly, like, I should have just not expected to ever be invited to her parties, because she didn't invite me to like at least 2 or 3 or 4 maybe when she was living next door. Especially that one, like, she was having that party like, I don't know, like that weekend, and she was telling me about it, and she didn't invite me, which really hurt my feelings a lot. I don't know. I will say I did have like a problem. Like, I was really selfish because I never wanted to stay over at her house all that much. I will admit, like, that was a problem. Like, I always wanted to stay at my grandma's house. I did stay at her house like once or twice, but usually we would spend the night at my grandma's house. So that was my fault for being selfish, but I was a kid. And that wasn't like hurting her feelings like she was hurting mine. Like, we just didn't know what to do. We would take turns sleeping. Well, we usually slept at my grandma's house. And I remember this one time, she's like, oh, I need to stay with my mom for the night. And I didn't want to stay over at her house, I don't think. And that was my fault. I was being selfish. But she was like saying, no, I need to stay here with my mom for tonight. And I remember being heartbroken. Which now looking back, I understand why she wanted to stay with her mom. Probably because we were spending so much time together and she was probably getting sick of me. So she stayed over there and I went back home with grandma because I was heartbroken that my friend didn't want to stay over. And yeah, so I remember that, like, I was in the wrong that time, you know. So fast forward, I think, I can't remember if I was still in the same grade with her at this point, or like this is when I got held back, because we were in the same grade, but then I got held back a year because I had some learning disabilities and stuff, mainly dyslexia, but I was also, it was hard for me to learn different things because I had like dyslexia and other things. So this is a party I was actually invited to. You know, I was really kind of like embarrassing myself the whole night a little bit, because we were looking through these posters at the time, and I accidentally picked up another girl's poster, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And like, some of her friends were not very nice to me. I mean, I don't think this girl meant it in like a mean way, but it was kind of like rude. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she didn't even say anything. And my friend, this girl that was supposed to be my best friend, she just completely ignored me the entire time. She was very mean to me. I don't understand why. Like, she treated me like I wasn't a human being. And I was like, okay. And then when it got time to, I guess, sleep, the sleeping arrangements, obviously, like, all of us wanted to sleep with her because it was her birthday party. And we were in this hotel room, and I felt bad because her brother had to sleep in the shower, like the bathtub or whatever, and all of us were sleeping in the beds. And I don't even remember what I said, but like I said something, and she's like, no one asked for your opinion anyway, or something like that. Like, she was very rude to me, like super fucking mean. I didn't know what I did to deserve it. And so I was crying because, like, you've been horrible to me your entire party, and now you're gonna be ugly to me again for what? What did I do? I don't even remember what I said. I don't think I said anything mean or nasty, because I was always nice to this girl, and she was always horrible to me. I think the only time she wasn't being mean to me was, like, when she needed something or she wanted to hang out. Like, sometimes we would hang out, she would be so nice, and then other times she would just be so horrible to me, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like the right thing to do, you know. And again, I was still inviting her to all my parties, and we would have fun, and she still didn't invite me to some of her parties. So yeah, so she was horrible to me that night. I was crying myself to sleep, and her mom was like, is somebody crying? And I said no, even though I was crying, because she had been hurtful and very mean to me, and I just didn't understand what I did to deserve it, you know. Like, this whole time, I don't know what I did to deserve her treating me so badly. And so I think this is the last little, like, story time that she actually, like, didn't invite me, or, well, maybe invite me to a party, or, no, she didn't invite me. So she was bragging to me about how her mom was taking her and another friend to Build-A-Bear. And this was my fault again, because, you know, I shouldn't have asked, but, like, she shouldn't have been telling me this, because it just ended up hurting my feelings. But she's like, oh yeah, my mom is taking me and this friend to Build-A-Bear, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like so much fun. And I asked her if I could tag along, and she's like, oh, my mom doesn't have that much money, so no, you can't come. Which again really hurt my feelings. And if money was the problem, my mom would have never let her mom pay for a Build-A-Bear for me. Like, my mom would have given me some money. Like, there were other options, but she clearly didn't want me to go, so that upset me too, and I was heartbroken again. And I went in the backyard, and I cried for a little bit, because I'm just like, this girl just keeps hurting me over and over and over again, and I keep letting her do it. It's just, like, I'm not saying I was entitled to her going to her birthday parties, but she would always tell me this, and then it felt like she was rubbing it in my face when she told me no. It seemed like she enjoyed hurting my feelings quite a bit. Like, I just don't understand, you know. So then she like moved away, which again, I was really sad about that. Like, her and my grandma were no longer neighbors. She moved to the other side of town, and I was at her house a few times, her new house, and she did invite me to one more party. And her friend, one of her friends, was being kind of nasty to me. And again, she didn't stand up for me. And if the time had come, like, I would have stood up for her, but she never stood up for me. She's always mean in that kind of way, like, cruel. And so, like, we had been drifting apart for a while. And so when she invited me to her party, I was surprised. So I invited her to mine. And like I said, her friend was being quite mean, and she didn't stick up for me. But me and that girl, we kind of sort of became friends, I guess you could say, like the girl that was trying to be mean to me. And again, my friend was ignoring me the whole time, and she was being completely, like, rude to me. And I don't know. And so nowadays, I don't really talk to this person all that much anymore. She moved, like, to another town, I think, like, Austin or Dallas or somewhere. I really don't know. I don't know if she realizes how badly she hurt me. Maybe she does realize. It feels bad, but like she hurt me a lot. And it may not just be because of her not inviting me to her parties. I'm sure there was other things. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like a lot of them had to do with her birthday parties. Oh, and she forced me to stay awake one night to watch the George Lopez show at the time, which she was obsessed with, and so I did because I was her friend and I cared about this friendship. It seems like I cared about this friendship more than she did, you know? So, yeah. And then, like, we kind of just started drifting apart, and I stopped seeing her as much. Every now and then, like, she would call me out of the blue. Like, this one day, she called and asked if I wanted to go to the swimming pool in our town, which, of course, I did. And my grandma and my mom were like, no, you're on your time of the month, so you can't go. And I was crushed because I really wanted to see her. Even though I don't know why I shouldn't have wanted to see her at this point because she was being so mean to me all the time. But, yeah. Yeah, so, after that, like, I only stayed at her house, like, a few more times. And she invited me to, like, one more party. And then our friendship kind of just, like, faded away because, you know, she had moved to the other side of town. And we didn't really see each other all that much anymore. Like, we kind of drifted apart. And nowadays, I don't really see her anymore. I don't really talk to her as much. Because it seems like every time I've reached out to her and, you know, tried to have a conversation, she didn't want to have a conversation with me. Like, I get it. Like, she was busy sometimes, you know. But, yeah, I completely understand. And then, like, sometimes she would be rude to me, and then, like, she'd be like, oh, I'm busy, like, working. And then hours later, she would post on her Instagram, like, something that wasn't work related. So I'm like, alright, I see how it is. I guess our friendship is really over. We still follow each other on social media, but we don't really talk to each other all that much anymore. I don't know much about her life. She doesn't know much about mine. So yeah, she was, like, she was kind of quite mean, especially when it came to her birthdays. Like, she was mean to me all the time, but a lot of the times it was because she was having a birthday party. I do remember she told me another, like, time that she had, like, this all orange birthday party or whatever, because orange was her favorite color. Again, I wasn't invited to that one, but I wasn't hurt at this point because, like, we were drifting apart anyway, so that one didn't, like, hurt my feelings as bad as some of the other ones. So, yeah, that's my story time. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know what I'm going to name this, like, my toxic friend, or, like, she was always hurting my feelings or something like that. But, yeah, anyway, I'm going to go. Bye, guys.